I like the idea of being a poet and a philosopher because the way I think of being a poet and being a philosopher is you're taking things that are formless, you're taking ideas, you're taking creative truths, if you will, and you're kind of expressing it in different ways and through different mediums. Say a poet can take some intangible ideas such as greed or love or truth or pain and express it artistically and through metaphors and through figures of speech or through stories, through images and through sensations, whereas a philosopher can take those exact same emotions, those exact same feelings, and try to look at them on through a microscope and try to explain them, try to challenge them with thought experiments and with exercises to kind of find the meaning within it. But I think being a poet versus being a philosopher are two very similar things, and I like to think that I am both a poet and a philosopher. And I can probably say that I am a poet because of how much I've written poetry and how much I continue to write and read poetry. Everything back here in this wall, that's all of my poetry. The images aren't mine, but the words are all mine. They're all my poems. And I hope to think that I am also a philosopher because I'm continually trying to discover new ideas and new ways of thinking things, and whether they be spiritual or emotional or philosophical in nature, just being so inquisitive and curious and continuing to think and trying to find answers in things. I think that can just make you a philosopher without even having to be well read in philosophy. As long as you think for yourself and are able to make philosophy and follow your own philosophy and live your philosophy, then you're a philosopher. It's nothing more complicated than that. And being both a poet and a philosopher, it's kind of almost the same thing, just with different goals, as the philosopher tries to explain or philosophize, and the poet tries to express or to make audiences or readers feel through their writing. In the grand scheme of things, they're both expressing and trying to look at something they believe to be true or something they believe to be existing, something that they feel, something they think people should know about, or people should feel as well, or people should be aware of. I heard this perspective somewhere that being a poet is expressing truth, and I don't really want to say anything on that because I don't know how truth would be defined or what would be a good, agreeable definition of truth, which is such a difficult word to try to explain. But I can tell what they're trying to mean, and I can agree with that because beyond all vanity and beyond all the artistic word choices and the flowery sentences that a poet can execute, underneath that is an underlying thought that is truth to the poet. Because I don't think, well, in my experience as a poet, I don't really try to express things that I don't believe in unless I'm trying to express something I disagree with to prove something. Beyond, and underneath all that, it's still me trying to express my raw thoughts and my raw emotions through artistic images, metaphors, whatever, as a poet. And from a philosopher's perspective, you're kind of doing the exact same thing. So I think the more I try to explain it, the less there is a line between being a poet and a philosopher, the more they seem the same. And also when you're reading certain philosophical works and certain poetic texts, you can kind of interchange the two. The only difference is that philosophers are trying to explain something, trying to make it digestible, whereas a poet can be ambiguous. A poet can be hard to understand. They can have multiple meanings behind their things. It's just, I find it really amusing that these two are very similar, but I don't see a lot of people trying really talking about it. I see a lot of people saying that it's a really cool thing, people calling themselves poets and philosophers, and I love that. I love it when people are unafraid of calling themselves a poet, unafraid of calling themselves a philosopher, even though you don't need to have a white beard, you don't need to have read multiple philosophy books to call yourself a philosopher. You don't need to have published work to call yourself a poet. You don't even need to have written multiple poems to call yourself a poet. You just need to enjoy it and have to maybe have a writing practice or have the ability to express your own thoughts through poetry just to be a poet. It's really nothing too difficult of what you consider yourself to be. And I feel like as soon as you put those titles onto yourself, I kind of just feel better and I feel like I put my thoughts to a higher standard where when I feel something or when I think of something, I either try to explain it or try to express it artistically. And I think that just makes me a more introspective, more deep, more spiritual, more creative person in general. And I think if anyone ever thinks of me as that, if anyone sees me as someone who's creative, someone who's philosophical, someone who's poetic, it's only because I embrace that. And I think that thoughts are thoughts are playthings. Thoughts are fuel for ideas and creativity, and just art or anything. And you take what is formless, you take these ideas, and you mend them, you shapeshift them into whatever you want, and that's just creativity. And we're all creative individuals in our own unique ways, and I think that as soon as you find who you think you are, who you think you want to be, and you embrace that, you're just gonna live a lot better, and you're gonna be much more happy with your own thoughts, much more happy with the way that you think, and that's it. I think I just wanted to talk about these things, and I made a lot of videos today, and it was fun. I'm thinking a lot. I know I'm gonna upload more soon, and I know I want to make more ideas and to express more of what I'm thinking to prove to myself that I am a philosopher, that I am a poet, even though there's not much proving left for me to do as long as I believe that I am that and I continue to embrace those practices. But yeah, that's it for the video today, and I'll see you in the next one.